Looking around the room, I don't see any public members, so. Call for the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda for approval? This is written. Motion.
I'd make a motion. Second.
You don't go through the motion part of my first meeting. Thank you very much. All right, agenda is approved. The public approval of previous month's minutes. Any changes to that before we begin?
I got a change.
You too.
That's on the third page. So under, at the top of the page, item D, friends. That isn't quite right. I discovered that the strategic planning process is really meant for fundraising, as far as I understand it. Anyway, I wonder if you could just phrase it a little differently. They asked to participate in Friends' strategic planning process when it begins. Because, you know, I don't even know when it's going to happen. So I'm just asking to participate.
We'll delete the strategic planning part.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. I just don't know where it's at.
Two changes I'd like to, in the roll call number one, Gary's last name is Scott. Gary Scott.
Yep, put that in the updated one that's out there.
See that? And then in fact, under C, discussion city manager, I thought housing was part of that discussion also. Number C, discussion of city manager presentation. Describe position of food security, mental health, job security, housing, transportation, housing was not there, I thought it was.
Oh,
Maybe housing.
yeah.
That's a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Second. New business. There's made a few minor changes to the layout of the agenda. New business has moved up to allow guest speakers to appear, speak, and get out of here sooner rather than later. And also, old business is now listed under section 6 as board updates. It will include information discussion on what's going on with focus groups and any open items from previous meetings. Anything else the board wants to discuss. Do we need a motion to accept those changes or do that for this?
I don't think so.
Okay. Just check. Good. All right. Any other suggested changes to the agenda format, let me know. Just email me or put that in there. New business, board member introduction. Let's ask everybody here to state their name, how long you've been living in Longmont, and how you might be involved in Longmont and things in our community. My name is John Higgins, board chair, and I've lived in Longmont for 20 years. Moved here from Phoenix via San Francisco to Hawaii. Retired 3 years ago, and then 3 years ago started coming to participate here at the Friends, or at the Senior Center. I'm on the Friends of Senior Center Board Fundraising Committee, also on the Longmont Senior Center Advisory Board, also do peer support here at the Senior Center. And I've got as many goings on here as I possibly can. I love this place, it's great. Are we? You got us right now.
I did. My name's Arlene Shortman. I actually originally lived in Longmont for 3 years when I was in high school and then left because, of course, I thought the town was too small and moved back in 2018. Since then, I'm on the Housing Authority Board, the Advisory Board, and then the Boulder County Area Agency on Aging Board. So it's amazing how the town has grown, but it still has sort of a small town atmosphere. You get to know people, you recognize them around town, and so, yeah.
My name is Eric Black. I've lived in Longmont since 2012. I'm a member of this board. I'm also a member of the Longmont Public Media Advisory Board. I'm a member of Longmont Public Media. And I do some production work there. And I don't know what else to tell you.
You're our person that does the Longmont ride.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
You've been on that for a bit.
I've done a dozen rides on Longmont. Well, that's it.
So if you have any questions, just go ahead and ask.
Lonnie?
I'm Lonnie Dooley. I'm vice chair. I have been on the senior advisory board here at the senior center for 2 years. I have been on the board of directors of the Longmont Humane Society for 2 years. I had been very active in my neighborhood, which is this neighborhood, Historic West Side, for 20 years. And I moved into Village on Main and realized that I really wanted to do something about advocating for seniors and working for seniors. I saw a lot of people who didn't know what to do about getting help or getting assistance or just voicing a problem, anything like that. They just didn't know what to do. So I moved in. And I moved in first, but then I really wanted to do something, so I joined the advisory board. And I'm also the Longmont representative to the Boulder County Agency on Aging Advisory Council. And so that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Dave?
Stop me when you can't stand it anymore.
That's good.
Oh, yeah. I'm Dave Grona. We moved here 10 years ago, in 2014, and we came from the Salt Lake City area. And actually, we came directly here from Vancouver, Washington, where we lived for a year and a half after we retired. Didn't like it, so we came here. My son lives in Westminster. Anyway, that's a short story. I worked for Salt Lake County for 25 years, worked for government 40 years. I've known Arlene for about 35, 40 years. And she worked in Salt Lake County also, so I've known Arlene a long, long time. Most of my career has been in, roughly half my career has been in mental health, and the other half has been in human resources. And let's see, what else? Been on the board for, this is starting my 4th year. And I guess that's it. Below Longmont. We honeymooned here 60 years ago.
Really?
Yes. And wish we would have stayed. We didn't.
That's interesting.
Never came back. But I wish we would have stayed, absolutely.
Thank you. John?
Sure. John Pullman, lived in Longmont for 10 years. Before that, lived in Littleton for 10 years. Before that, lived in St. Louis, so I'm a Midwestern transplant. Worked in the IT space, primarily IT sales, but also in professional services, various tech companies for a long time. Took an early retirement 2 years ago, and decided to start doing some volunteer work. So I've been volunteering here for 2 years with the tech lab, the senior tech lab, making house calls, so people that need help. Art Quintana is a guy I've been in his house before. Many others have been doing that for the last 2 years. I'm also on the NGOA, I was telling Dave, off and on for a couple of years. And I also am on the board of directors of and have been doing this for about 7 years, board of directors of a 501c3 nonprofit that provides a safe meeting space for 12-step groups, NA, AA, CA, all the A's, It's down on South Sunset, just south of Pratt and Sunset. Really enjoy doing that, working with those people. I think we can really make a difference there. And my partner Tracy has a little private medical practice at Airport in Nelson. So I help her kind of run her office in my free time as well. So I guess that covered it. Thank you.
Thanks.
And yo quiero trabajo. Marta Valenzuela Moreno, ella is known as the Buddhist number one. Sister Buddhist. Okay. Stubborn to get the job right, done, whatever the weight is or whatever. I'm a big advocate. I've been here, and I was from Texas, El Paso. Hired with IBM, my husband, worked for 30 years. Co-founder of the Comité, this was back in 1980. Co-founder then became second director for 30 years, retired. So started doing the senior center, and I'm now starting the board. I also am part of the Cinco de Mayo committee that we helped to get going. The Day of the Dead helped to get going. And right now the board of LLV, Longmont Latinx Voices. So we do scholarship for kids, Hispanic especially, from St. Grade School District for after they graduate. It's a $1,000 scholarship that we do. We have a dance on May the 10th to provide 10 scholarships. We started with 7, on 10. Get the kids motivated, help them. Those that don't know how to access, and now I'm here in the board and been involved with the programs and trying to get Hispanics to come and join the senior center. Said it's part of yours, so you're entitled to it. So said leave the pain, let the pain out of the pain. Get involved, come with a walker or wheelchair, or whatever, don't matter. You come and then I'm a big advocate. I used to say that I used to work with the young, the old, the restless, in between, and even the dead. Because there are people from many parts of the country, when they pass, they want to go back home, wherever home was. So I used to advocate for them with the funeral homes to allow them to send those bodies back home. So I'm a big advocate to social service or bills that they had or with the police department, whatever. And I still have that passion to help people, like I said, seniors. They don't know what to do. Sometimes they're shy. They don't want to. They don't know how. They say they think they're not eligible, but there are, And it's great that you're doing that, and that's what I'm doing this. Because I get calls at home. They come and visit still because they believe in, and I trust them. My husband, after 30 years with IBM, retired. I started doing income tax and translations and that. So we're still helping people, and we'll continue. So I'm hoping that I can contribute and be a part of this decision.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome. Impressive, thank you all. Everyone received their orientation packets, had a chance to read them. Everything there to talk about what we do. The one thing I want to draw your attention to is the Colorado open meeting law. It talks about how many of us can meet at one time. It's limited to 2, 3 or more people has to be recorded. It's in the packet, but it was an issue that came up a couple times last year, so remind you to focus there. Do you know what the orientation is?
Haven't heard yet.
Did you see sometime this month?
Yeah, it's usually towards the end of the month, yeah.
So that packet was email. Did I want to?
Yes.
Get my email. Then I get a lot of emails.
Wait, did they get it too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you quickly because you look confused. What we found out with the open meeting law is that you cannot have more than 2 people together talking about board business without posting it as an open meeting. So in case you didn't know that. And we would, even if you're on email, even if you're on a group, telephone call, anything. More than 2 people, even if people leave this meeting and go out and stand in the parking lot and start talking, there's more than 2 people discussing anything to do with the city or board business. it's considered, you have to post it, you cannot do that. So we were trying to get about 5 people organized, so John would have to meet with one and then meet with the other and then meet with the other. There's just no way of getting around it, that has to be the way it's done, so. I just thought I'd explain in case anybody didn't realize it.
Thank you. Right, and if we want to have group meetings or focus group meetings after this meeting, could we arrange for that in the future?
Yes.
And I know we have to have it recorded and what have you, so that's possible. That's the best way for us to all get together.
Right, if we did it, it would have to be here.
Right after we record it. Yeah, right. So if there's a way to do that after the meeting, that's the only time that we've got everybody here at once.
And with that, I think we'd have to publicize that as well. So
Right.
in 24
Yeah,
hours.
to post
Right.
that, sure.
So it'd just be an address that this, you know,
Yeah.
that follows this meeting, so.
Yeah.
Who we speak on?
So we'll go through, let me check on that because I don't know if Bianca would have to publish that as a side meeting or if City Clerk's office has to. So let me look.
Okay. Yeah, one of my hopes is that we get through the meetings, depending on the schedule, sooner, maybe do it in that same 2-hour block, but yeah, let us know. And I didn't see a current list of board members in the packet, did I miss that, or is that coming?
This is what they sent me. She said that there's, I think there may still be some edits coming to this.
I was waiting for
This is
it
what
to
they
say.
had, yeah. I saw something that showed. Okay. So no, nope. This one.
So,
Do we just want to start one? Can we just start a list? For everybody, how does that have to go?
So we can start with what you're just saying for the packet. For this.
It's what? I didn't hear.
What is your question? I don't.
Could we just start a list for everybody of board members, emails, phone numbers,
That's
whatever?
Right. So we can, and I have one that just for my own record, but we can share that out. I can update it with new information. So yeah, let's we'll get a piece of paper going around here in a bit, and everybody just record there. We'll do well. What I have is details just so for my record because we send out notifications for some of them electronic, but things like our volunteer appreciation, things like that. We need a physical address. So I'll send that around if you're okay putting your physical address, phone number,
Email.
and email.
Email.
Yeah.
That would be enough.
Do we have to
That's-
post our cell number?
That's just for our
What-
record. It's not going to be public.
Well, you
information.
used to have that in the handbook. Is that the same thing?
Well,
The big handbook.
the big one,
You had all that information in
it
there.
should be, yep, so that it's just a record,
Just update
a
that.
document we update,
Put a
yeah.
new page in the handbook.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about the Board of Commissioners
No.
orientation packet, it's just like, no.
so then, the same rules apply to email. So if I were to, wanted to send an email to somebody, I can only send it to one person if I had a question, yeah?
Yeah.
You ran into that as
I did.
well, one
I
at a
did.
time.
I sent out to everybody, got a notice saying you can't do that, so we can send it to you though. for-
Yeah, you
just
can
to
send
right?
You can send it to me and I can send it out to our board. The responses have to come back
Right.
individually, not reply all. And so basically what I would do is blind copy everybody so we can reply to that email. Yes, I will do that.
Question there. So John, you mentioned I sent an email and I got a reply back. What did you get? Who did you get a reply back from?
I don't remember.
Was it a city email address or was it?
Was it Ronnie? Was it Ronnie or was it Christina?
No, I
or-
just got it from Ronnie.
Oh, okay.
You mean a packet?
No, you said you sent an email.
Oh, no, I
to-
sent an email from the board about a committee that I'd been formed. And I got a note that I can't do that.
Okay, who'd you get the note from?
Ronnie.
I thought so.
Oh.
Yeah,
Got it.
Ronnie keeps us in line.
Yeah, so that's the voice.
But really, if you get anything that's to everybody, that's sent to everybody, and you want to reply, you're always better just replying yourself and not replying all,
Yes.
okay? Just send your own individual reply.
Yes.
It should only come from Ronnie. It goes to everybody, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it'll go back to Ronnie.
So let's
Right,
say
and if it's
Arlene-
anything that needs to be shared, then you can decide.
So if Arlene wanted information, she lets me know, I'll send it out, if I know you, give Arlene the information.
Yeah, you look at the board packet that the law is pretty clear about what you can and can't do.
Right.
Very specific.
John, one of the things that I liked in that thing was, this is really a good picture of rewards, which is something that, we've been talking about with the food distribution.
Yes. Anything else?
And you do know that there'll be an orientation by the city. It's done on a Saturday. You're invited. There'll be, everybody who's new to advisory boards will be invited to pretty much a 9 to 3 type of meeting on a Saturday. It'll be in the city chambers, and it'll be run by the city. And they'll give an orientation on being on an advisory board, what all those particulars were. You'll hear from the city attorney. You'll hear from various people who will explain their areas of expertise, and it'll help you get a better picture.
That's pretty much going over this packet that was.
Yeah.
Attached.
So I'll get an email with that.
Yeah, they'll reach out.
Did everybody get a copy of this packet?
Email? Yeah.
Let's see, 5D, additional focus groups. The board currently has 3 focus groups: food security, transportation, and housing. And the request to open that up a bit to do some more exploration around employment and outreach. So I want to talk about that. We get a little further down the list here to see who might have an interest in participating in some other areas of focus. 6 board updates, focus groups. You've all got copies of everyone's liaison reports. Pretty self-explanatory. I think the time you have any questions for those focus group leaders to speak. But other than that, I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
I just want to say one quick thing. I was at a meeting where Harold spoke about the plans for 2025 and more about housing. And they have some very interesting plans. I don't want to start to try to remember anything and say it incorrectly, but I'm going to ask him in the March meeting when he's here to specifically go over what he stated when we were at the Coffee and Conversations, because it was really interesting, and it really showed me where their plans are going for the next 5 years. One thing is, he said that if they give 2 more properties going in the next whatever years, they will get it to the point where they're all self-sustaining. They'll all be able to sustain themselves, which was kind of a surprise to me. I didn't know that was a direction they could possibly be looking at. So he just had a lot of interesting information, and I'd really like to ask him when he comes in March to go over that again, because he gave some great stuff. So that's it on housing.
So I would like to just say a couple of things on transportation. One thing that was actually in the paper that I thought was interesting, which appeared after I sent the report in, is the new mountain route that they want to do with the rail going up to the ski areas. To me, was very interesting because it's going from Denver to Craig. So it's picking up Winter Park, it's picking up Steamboat Springs, it's going through Granby, Hot Sulphur Springs, that way up towards Craig. We used to actually live in Kirtland, so I kind of know that area. But instead of going up Interstate 70, which I thought would be the way, the train is going to go that other way. They do have approval from Union Pacific to use the tracks. And they're thinking they're going to have that in 2 years, which kind of is interesting because they're supposed to have from Pueblo and Port Collins working on that one as well. So that one is not going as fast, but anyway. The other thing is, and I would like Eric to talk a little bit about his riding with Ride Longmont. I've been a little disappointed in what I've heard and what we had been told originally And it is, what they told us is fairly accurate. They said it would be similar to Uber and Lyft, which is they would pick you up and, you know, within a time, you could call them and they would come within a time frame. So you wouldn't have to wait a week, or you wouldn't have to call a week ahead or something like that, which is, I think is ideal. But what I'm really kind of disappointed in is that they said you might have to walk to the corner, or, you know, they may not pick you up exactly at your door, but you might, and I'm hearing that it's not exactly to the corner, it's maybe a block or two, which I think for our seniors and for even some people who are dealing with children, that's kind of a little bit disappointing to me that we're not a little bit closer than that. Particularly if you're going to a doctor, you usually don't feel good. If you're going to pick up groceries, the drivers do not get out of the vehicles, as far as I know. You're kind of, I think it's kind of limited a little bit for seniors and maybe even families, but the price is right.
Eric, has that been your issue? Have you had any issues with them pickup?
Yeah. Do you want me to talk about it now?
Yeah.
Sure. Problems that I've had is that the inconsistency. They don't always pick you up in front of your house. You have to walk maybe half a block. They don't drop you off consistently at one spot. I've had it dropped off to my door, and I've had it like a block away. The time has been reasonable. I think I've only missed one ride because I couldn't afford to wait 20 minutes. And the other thing is that I've only had one driver who's very familiar with Longmont. Everyone else is doing voice navigation via, you know, Google. I think they're all using Google Maps. So if they don't know it, you might have to guide them to your destination. I had a guy last week who tried to drop me off about 4 blocks from my destination because he just didn't know, and that's where I guess he had entered the address incorrectly. But besides that, every driver's been cordial. Everyone has been more than willing to listen and learn about where they're going. I had to guide one driver around the parking lot out of a gas station, which is kind of funny actually. But all in all, when I had to leave a party at about 10:30 at night, I had a ride within 7 minutes. Got me home. And that was really good. And I think it's just a matter of getting the bugs worked out and getting some consistency. But besides that, it's been a good experience.
The drivers were willing to, you know, if they stop a block away, they're willing to take you to your home anyway if you ask.
I haven't. I've just gotten out. But as far as, yes.
I was just wondering, kind of directing it more well to anybody, would it be worthwhile trying to provide some feedback at this point? Who would we do it to?
I would wait till the end of the free period
Okay,
to see how much the ridership changes.
okay.
And, you know, there's some things that I don't think are reasonable. The drivers do get out if you're in a wheelchair or if you're in a walker, they will get out and help. If you got a bicycle, they'll get out and help with that too, just so they can mount it at the back. But I don't think that there's a standard, or if there is, the drivers aren't talking about it. So I don't know what sort of help that they're getting or instructions that they're getting. It seems that a lot of them spend a lot of time waiting for rides. So we'll have to see, but I'd give it to the end of that period, the 9th. Yes.
I understand too that if you say you're senior, they will come to your door, they will pick you up at your door. They don't expect you to go to a standard location.
Well, that's good.
So I've been back and forth with the woman who's running the program. We've just been emailing, and she has told me that. I've heard that, I think families, if you have young kids, you can request that when you request the ride. You can say you have young kids. If that's not the case at this point, I think they want it to be the case, that people can request getting picked up right at their door. But whether they've actually done it yet or not, I don't know. So I do know that as far as seniors, if you say you're being picked up at a place that they know is a senior living facility or a senior apartment or something, I think it's automatic that they'll come right to the door. I have seen them in our parking lot picking up people, so I know they're doing that. However, other people, I'm not sure. So like you say with families.
And I've had people just getting rides from here, I've had them drop me off right in front of the front door, and I've had them drop me off a block away, or pick me up a block away. So, and I haven't identified myself as senior, so because I want to see how it works for everyone. So, yes.
In the drivers, do you have any other drivers that are bilingual? I can turn into Hispanic. You know, they understand you know or how to speak more than what they give themselves credit. But some of them, no.
I haven't had any Hispanic drivers yet.
No, haven't yet?
Yeah.
They don't problem.
So, yeah.
I'll just say that with my work on Facebook, I always shared it to all the job listing sites that they needed drivers for the city. And it always, the post that I use always said bilingual is, is included. I mean, would be, they'd be happy to get somebody who's bilingual.
And it's not
So,
our volunteer to that communication when they start calling what they want is to get the message through, whatever it may be.
Yeah, and I've only used the app, I haven't called for a ride.
I could give you the name of the woman who's in charge of the whole thing, and you could talk to her and
Or
see
you
if,
can give her my name.
right. Either way, it doesn't matter. But I can kind of connect you to, and maybe you could talk and see if they're doing something, if they have a plan for something, or if there's some plan to execute, you could help execute. That would be pretty good.
Eric,
Yes.
will that shuttle take someone to the mobility hub out at 25?
Yes,
It will?
yes.
Okay.
It's the only place outside of Longmont.
No?
No,
Is that a special ride?
it's only in town, but it will take you to where you can catch a bus, an RTD bus, out to the mobility hub.
Oh, okay, sorry.
If that particular ride along Mount will not take you out there.
Okay.
Yeah, but it will take you to where you can get a ride.
What bus goes out to the?
They're working it out with RTD,
Uh-huh.
and RTD is supposed to have a bus that goes out several times a day, back and forth.
And that's what you said, they'll finally have a bus going to Longs Peak Hospital?
Well, yeah, we hope.
Yeah. 'Cause it'll
But
go by
Ride
there.
Longmont should take you to Longs Peak Hospital.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of still
Right.
in there, yeah.
Right.
But, in order to get out there, then from the hub, you can pick up the bus there and get down to Denver, or if you're going the other direction.
For Collins.
Yeah.
That's the brochure that's
Oh.
available. Is it in Spanish also, do you know?
It is downstairs. These are downstairs. These are downstairs in the information thing, in the little room you go into. And it is in Spanish as well. I did not pick up the Spanish one, but anyway, we can pass those around and you can look at them.
That's great, because that way in our sessions that we have them around and get them be aware of it.
Yeah, it's just kind of hidden back in there though. I don't know where
We give a couple to the information desk out here so they can give to people. So,
Maybe we should set up something out in the lobby with information on the ride. Would that be
Yeah.
okay? Put it out in front instead of in the
Yeah.
cubby.
Well, we'd have to reach out to our transportation department and see if they can be available for that. Unless Eric's an expert now, right? I'm just kidding.
oh,
No, I just
It's
mean a
task
little
for you.
setup where they can put the paper, put the booklets.
Just a holder.
Yeah, just a
on this.
holder that has the booklets, but out in front of people instead of in the
We
cubby.
could look at, we definitely don't want it at the front desk though. The front
No,
desk
no.
is
Right.
just
No.
cluttered.
The information
Right.
desk.
So you have that information.
Readers.
Yeah.
Should we talk to Valerie about it?
Yeah, that's a value about that.
And I'd be willing to talk to anybody about it. But I think everyone's just do it. Take a ride.
Yeah?
Yeah, I
Right.
have to. I'm sort of saying I'm done, and then I forget.
Should have a motion, everyone has to have the ride by next, at least one ride. Bit on that one. All right, board updates, focus groups. We talked about the 3 current groups. Wanted to see if there's any interest in focusing on employment. I know Dave's interested in that, and outreach. And if interest in outreach, I'd like it to be focused on community outreach and also specifically on the Latino community. I don't think we've done much to do that. I'd like to open it up for people to talk more about employment and outreach as a focus group for this year. In addition to transportation and housing and food and security. Take it away, somebody.
I'm not sure what you mean by focus group.
Well, these call them committees. I think this
These little working groups, we used to call them working groups.
preferably only 2 people so you can actually meet
Yeah.
easily. But committees is any size. Just if there's an interest in getting information about seniors and employment, senior citizen outreach.
Well, I definitely would like to be part of studying employment. And I don't want a committee because it's too cumbersome. But if somebody wanted to work with me, that would be great. And I'd like to tell everybody what I've accomplished so far. It fell a whole lot. But at least it gives you an idea where I think we're going with this. And so wherever you want me to talk about that.
I'll just take a few minutes to just talk about what you've done and where you see the focus group going.
Okay. Now?
Sure.
Okay. I told John earlier that I tried to contact a number of people, and over the holidays it has been difficult. I haven't been able to get a hold of anybody for 2 weeks, and before that I called around to a number of different offices, and it's just been tough to get a hold of people. But here's what I've learned so far, and this is what I think. Okay, I'm going to tell you what I think I know, and then next week I'll tell you whether what I thought I knew was really what I thought I knew. So what we're trying to do is, under the Older Americans Act, there's Title V. Within Title V, there's a Senior Community Service Employment Program. And that program provides funding through the Department of Labor to different agencies. I think different states do it differently. Here it goes through, I think, the Colorado Department of Labor. And there's a number of donor agency or grantors, I think they call them, of which there's, I think, 8. I think there's 8 throughout the state. The closest one to us is Loveland. I talked to, I don't know if he was the director or the person that handled the Title V funding. But what he told me was that there's money available to fund work sites. But you have to have a work site that's supervised. You just can't throw a person into a spot. It has to have supervision. And I said, just hypothetically, how about 10, 20 people, find work sites for 10, 20 people. But that's the easy part, just identifying the number of people. Apparently, there is money available to fund that many positions as long as we can find supervised work sites. Now, I have a call into him. I haven't been able to talk to him throughout the holidays, but I'll be following up with him and see if that's a possibility to kind of go that direction. The other person I've talked to, and this is also someone that I was referred to, was a person called Lily, and I really don't know what her position was, but she's with Boulder Workforce Services. And do you know her? As a chance? Okay. And I described, one problem I had was getting people to understand is I wasn't looking for work. I wanted to find situations where people can find work. And I finally got that across, and she said, let me discuss it with the staff. And I assume what she meant for Boulder County Workforce Services. And so she's another one that I have a call in, and I'll have more information at our next meeting. But that's kind of where I'm at on that. She seemed, it's hard to say, she seemed to think that maybe she could put something together that wasn't a standard thing right now, maybe kind of a special program. Anyway, I think I made clear to both of them that what we were looking for, and I think that has the support of the board, is a number of positions where people could work for at least what is the minimum wage, $15 an hour, for up to 1,000 hours a year. And I forgot to mention that the qualifying criteria would be at least 55, no more than 15,040 bucks or something like that. Or they count $750 out of every $1,000. By the way, 15,000 is 75% of the federal poverty rate. So you have to be lower income, unemployed for 6 months, veterans with programs. And you stay on the program for up to 2 years, and the objective is to get people into full-time, unsubsidized employment. I think I got that part right. So that's kind of what I've got so far. That's what I think I know. And that's the direction I'm trying to go. What I would see in the long term is, Ronnie, maybe you have a staff member coordinating this and making referrals, say, up to Loveland, or maybe they could come down here. I don't know, we'd have to have some sort of coordinating process to one of your staff members is what I've got in mind. Or maybe they'd pick it up entirely, all you have to do is make a referral. I don't know, we'd have to work all this out. So, but anyway, that's kind of the idea that I'm working with right now. And so if you want to, anybody wants to work with me on that, if you support that, I'll continue doing that.
What's the, what would you say the purpose, what would you like to see come out of this throughout the next 12 months? How would you consider that work successful over the next 12 months?
If we got, I think once we got the process established, that would be the hard part. I'm hopeful that maybe this could go fairly quickly because the mechanisms are all there. So I would like to say, like, Ronnie, I'd have to go to you and your staff. How many people would like to be employed part-time? I'm just picking 20 out of a year. I would like to see people, 20 people in supervised positions at a minimum wage, different positions, in city offices. Go to the city and ask the city council to sanction that. That's what I'd like to see.
Could you write that up, what the purpose of the win would be, what do you consider that to be a win of, and to bring it up at the next meeting to see, get that kind of focus on it. And I don't know about having the staff be involved, more to the point of being able to offer possibly the resource desk out front, the information desk, as a resource to people, but just to give us a purpose of the committee or the focus group.
Okay.
Just a short write-up, what you just
For the
said.
next meeting? Okay. Yeah, I can do that.
And then
And I'll be doing additional, okay, do you want me to pursue this or not?
Well, if you want to do it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you said you've talked to the gentleman or the person in Loveland
Yes.
who administers this program already, is that correct?
Yes.
So would that person be willing to come down here once a week or maybe once every 2 weeks, and have a table or something set up, or even, a cubbyhole or something set up
Yeah.
where they could actually work with people and get this going? Because somebody's going to have to get employers involved too. So
Yes.
would that person be willing to take on Longmont as part of their whole area? you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And I can't answer any of those questions definitively.
Mhm.
I think that they handle the contacts with the employees. Which would be a big, I mean, that would be difficult for any of us or any of the staff at the senior center, to be honest.
But it sounds like they already have the process of how to do it.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. What I thought I would do is maybe just go up and meet him, and maybe if he was willing, have him come down here and see the roof.
Yeah, I think we
I don't
Do
know.
that,
Yeah.
But these conversations, I have limited information.
right.
And so, but those are good questions, and I just don't have good answers. Yeah.
I would think that you can continue to look into it. You can talk to them again, like you said, and get some answers that you haven't gotten yet. Do a report like we all do for the monthly meeting in February, and then see how far you get with the information, whether they'd be willing to come down to a meeting and talk to us about it and kind of explain it and all that sort of thing.
It's like the food security group, we wanted to focus on it, so we just started talking to people, and it got its own momentum going after a while. It's unclear right now because you don't have any
Right.
answers.
Yeah.
So if you lay out on purpose, this will start talking about it, make it part of what.
And then
I'd
do a
like to support
report.
it. Yeah, I support doing that.
Yeah, and then do a report so it's explained to everybody, you know, what you're looking at and how far you've gotten and what the information is that you've got. I think that would be a good way to start.
Need to know what's a safe spot for them, you know, that they're applying, that they're working in, how secure, or, you know, what are the responsibilities, you know, it's
Yeah.
gonna be.
There's lots of questions.
Yeah,
Yes.
and this may take a little while, just like it did with food insecurity. We
Yeah.
thought we were gonna start right off the bat and just have it happen, and we realize this is an ongoing process, but I think it's a good one to start.
I think it's important to this community to
Yeah,
get that kind of focused information. And the experience of the food security group was, we started looking at it, and the more we looked, the bigger it got. Then we had to kind of
right,
Yeah.
bring it back down, but
Devil's in the details.
yeah.
exciting process. Cool. Do we have to do a motion to set up that focus group?
I think so.
I don't think so.
I think so.
But,
It's just under investigation, what it, sounds good, but we're gonna make sure.
Yeah, we're just looking into it.
And whoever we're gonna get involved, it knows and understands what is the responsibility, what is our liability, you know, and
You're right, David, that there's different threads of this thing. I know when I took early retirement, for a while there, I played around with, okay, do I want to go back to work, and what do I want to do, and there's in training, you know, right? Because for some roles, they offer subsidized or they offer grants and things for training. And so I was plugged into a woman, and I've got her email address and contact info at home, that was out of Boulder Workforce, and she set up a meeting with me online, like a Zoom meeting, and we talked about, you know, what do you want to do, and she's like, you know, there's some training opportunities for it if you want to go down that route, and then of course there's also the CDLE. They've got a whole website set up with different employers that you can peruse through and look at jobs in the area that might be. The problem with that one though is I don't think they differentiate seniors. It's basically for anybody that's unemployed that's looking for some sort of employment. But I'd be happy to talk with you more about that and maybe even see if that lady could help. I could reach out to her and see.
Remember her name?
I don't off the top of my head now.
It wasn't Lily, was it?
No, it was not Lily. No, she was, in fact, when I told her I volunteered here for the tech lab, she actually was working with a senior citizen that was an RTD bus driver that was looking to do something more challenging and more in the IT space because he had some background in that. And she sent him over to the senior center, and I met with him. And the problem was he was Iranian and he didn't speak good English. So he was having a real problem, and I'm like, well, I don't think I can help him with English as a second language. But I did try to help him with some computer-related things. So she even kind of nudged him over in my direction. But there might be some opportunities there. I'd be happy to talk with you about.
I didn't mention that the whole supplement program is training, for those people that are going to follow. And the ultimate goal is, I don't know.
Outreach. This is going to come up.
I won't forget that.
Marianne was coming up. Outreach.
Anybody interested in outreach?
I like the differentiate.
Rob?
I like the
Well,
differentiate.
I'd like to learn more about it, and talk
Yeah.
about it, and
Same here.
I mean, I'm good at that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'll start it, I'll put information together and we can sit and talk and go over things. I mean, we can at least get the ball rolling with having an outreach. We've spoken about it this whole year and we never really did too much other than just participated in a couple of events in the community. And I think we need to do more than that. So I can put some stuff together, we can meet. If anybody else wants to get involved at all, let me know. And then for the next meeting, I'll have a report about what we put together so far. Like I said, get the ball rolling, and then we can take it from there. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that's a great idea. And I'd like to think about this. We're going to comply with the open meeting law. If we have one committee group or one outreach group for Latino community and one group for non-Latinos, that's 2 people each. And you guys the chairs can talk so we get more mileage out of the
Okay,
get together. So think about dividing that.
we'll wait to see who's involved.
Yeah. But that way we get
But
around
if
having
it becomes where we do have 4 people,
Yeah.
and 2 people do want to take on the Spanish speaking and then the non-Spanish speaking, then that would be ideal.
Sonny, what would
They
be?
can learn with each other.
Yes.
Exactly.
Bilingual, they learn Spanish, they learn English, they know what we're talking about. That's how we get to integrate people.
Right.
Yeah, it's important.
So let us know about that.
Sure.
That works.
Lonnie, what are your thoughts on, what's your goal to that outreach? What do you want to
Well,
accomplish?
What we found is that we wanted to increase outreach to the senior community in general in Longmont, but a lot of it to the Spanish-speaking community. We feel that they're not represented, and that through Food Insecurity Committee and other committees, we want to just let people know about the senior center. I want them to have information. We even talked about, I suggested we send out a notice about the senior center in the kids' booklet that they get every Friday from the public schools. Because many people are many families are multi-generational, so if they bring it home, mom sees it, says, oh, geez, maybe Graham would like something like this.
Right, and they have the grandmas taking care of the siblings. So they know that there's a program here that they can also enjoy.
We thought child and youth services, have information there so that people can, when they bring their kids in, and the grandparents will often bring their kids in, we can have information there. So it's really just to expand on the amount of information that's out there for the senior center.
But to put a finer point on it, I agree with all that. But when we first started talking about outreach, gosh, it was a couple of years ago. And the idea was, at least a couple of years ago, and the idea was, well, okay, we got 25% of the population roughly that is Hispanic, but we don't have 25% of our services and our programs that are oriented towards Hispanic. So it was obvious that there's a shortfall in terms of that community being part of the kind of services and programs that the senior center offers. And that wasn't intentional, it's just kind of evolved. It's just like it happened over years and years of the center has been here. So the effort was, in general, to increase that participation to be more in line with what the community is. And we never did really get to a point where we had any kind of measure of that. And I think we've improved. it's hard to tell because we don't have a whole lot of measure on that, and it's tough to get those measured. But I think what we're really trying to do is to make sure it's fair. That it's equitable.
Yeah.
And so it's more than just trying to get out there and get the word out, which is important. But it's also making sure that we're being fair to that community.
So, do you deliver Go magazines? You and Karen, right? And so the peer count, they've all got routes, am I correct? I know Tracy does, right? And I go with her. And so we deliver Go magazines to different organizations. Salute is one Tracy and I deliver to, and there's a housing thing that we deliver to, and there's a bunch of churches. And so, one thought I had was, we drop these magazines off, right, to the receptionist or whatever, and she's like, "Thank you," and then we move on. But we could probably
They are distributed or they just sit there.
right,
Yeah.
right.
People don't grab, that's what
Yeah.
happens, women. No, it's not for them to sit there, it's for you to pass it around to the
That's-
church, whoever.
Yeah. So the thought I had was we could probably maybe carve out a few minutes of education to the person that's actually receiving the magazines on who we are, what we do. Maybe have a script or something, so that they know that when they're talking to their constituents in the church or that they can actually speak intelligently about this magazine, what the goal of the senior center is. It's an easy way, I think, potentially to kind of expand our reach through existing avenues.
We could do that. We could definitely do that if they were willing to do the work,
Yeah, right.
like the receptionist was willing to do it and stuff. I'm not saying they won't, I'm just saying that would be a factor.
Yeah.
It's whether they do it or not. But yeah, we could always, any more information we can provide to make it easier for somebody else, I think is very important. And if you did give them kind of a script or a list of information, they could refer to it and know what they're talking about when they do speak to people.
Who's that speaker we had on here a year ago? She was an outreach expert. I can't remember her name, but the city. Remember the woman?
Oh, Carmen Velasquez.
Carmen Barris.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Just
she's
over a year ago.
Just retired. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
retired.
Oh, she's gone?
Just retired.
Yeah.
But that's
Weeks-
okay,
couple weeks
there's
ago.
some that
There's-
have taken
yeah.
over her, okay?
Right.
It's no excuse.
She's
I said,
community
"Retired,
resources."
Oh, nothing's gonna happen. No, it shouldn't.
She's community resources, right?
I was just, she made a comment that just stuck with me, and that comment was, you're not gonna do it overnight, and it
Yeah.
takes time. And, getting the word out is half of it. And there's all kinds of dynamics behind it to get people to respond to that information. I guess I'd look to you a lot this next year.
Yeah, I mean, I get excited on that, okay? Because I've done a lot for 40 years and still,
Yeah.
she used to say, if you're not part of the table, you're going to be part of the menu. Yeah.
Our solution.
Yeah.
I think it's important that we focus on outreach and then begin to focus on not only being able to do it, but be consistent, the message be consistent. And we have other groups here, other focus groups. We should all be talking about how to make food insecurity available to the outreach programs, things like that. We need to communicate amongst ourselves to have a broader impact on the community. So it's a great start. Employment, outreach, it's awesome.
And I think too, with outreach could become the outward-facing group that can talk about anything. Food insecurity,
Right.
Then outreach would be the people who could also help out with getting the word out. Housing, transportation, anything like that. Outreach would also support all these groups by getting the word out. Because once we start doing this, I know it's going to end up that we get easy ways. We find good ways to get the information out, and I really think that once we have those ways, they'll work out well.
The word becoming inclusive, diverse.
Yes.
People are going to build trust because I'm going to see you. They say, okay, I know her for years. I know you for you. They build trust. They say, well, what she's telling me, then inviting me. So it has to be okay.
For programs specifically, we talk about the trust and equity, right? And so when I started program specifically, not necessarily our resources are very well known in our community, but programs specifically, Spanish programs. It was a footnote in our Boom magazines. When I started, I identified a real equity when we have annually over 800 programs and annually 20 or more Spanish programs for the entire year. There's a huge inequity. So that's when within the hiring process, that's when we brought in Valerie Rodriguez to focus not just on programs, but being that support for Spanish programs specifically. So she spends a lot of time and energy in there. And so since she's been here over the past year, close to about a year and a half, and I have those numbers. Spanish programs have not only doubled, but are thriving. So when we're talking about outreach for programs specifically, our general programs and our Spanish programs are a different approach. Our general programs, the word is out there. We're busting out the seams. So it's not, we're advocating for more space now, for more programs. Spanish programs, we're building those programs. Now we need this group to go out and be that voice of, hey, we have these programs, bring people in for our Spanish programs specifically. As you mentioned, it started with that trust, seeing that we are being equitable in our programming specifically. And when I say Spanish programs, it's not just having somebody who can translate, right? It's being intentional in meeting the needs of the Hispanic culture, right? So having somebody who speaks Spanish leading these Spanish programs, not somebody who can translate. And then if it's around health and nutrition, being very intentional and specific to what that means for our Latino community. That's different, right? And so we've done a really good job with that. I'll have those numbers now that we're starting to pull our annual numbers here to share what that looks like from last year to this year. But since Valerie's been here, she's really done a good job from our Spanish programs. Not only just the volume of programs, but the number in attendance as well, as a result as well. But we want more.
Yeah, and it's important, it's very important that they know and to tell them what the responsibility. You sign up, you show up.
Right.
You can't be responsible to call, I'm going to be able to, whatever.
Right.
And then eventually start integrating with some of the different programs.
Right.
So we can learn from each other. I'll never be you and you'll never be me, but we can learn from each other. I had a lady started going to the meeting, and it's, no, it's okay. You know Spanish. I mean, you know English. Give yourself some credit. So she went, and the way she was meeting or crocheting, whatever, that lady was teaching her, and then she taught her a different way of how she done it, of how she does it. Oh, that's an easy way, whatever. I said, you learn from each other. You learn from her. They encourage you more, and you tell them, hey, it's there for you, whether you know the language or not. The crocheting, the knitting, you learn from them. They learn from you. I'm pushing them.
So to be able to,
Yes.
I'm willing to move on to it.
Okay. I was just going to say, let's not forget other elements of our community. Hispanics are important, but there's also veterans, mentally ill, other minority groups. So I think that should all be part of our thing.
I think that's what Lonnie's going to look at, to see, are there really two outreach groups that we should look at, so we can talk about that. I'd also like to point out, things that the friends are talking about, is an outreach group, a speaker interview of sorts. We started to talk about that, so maybe we'll coordinate some of that activities.
Sure.
But we want to make the focus that whatever we do is going to run through staff to make sure we're not duplicating efforts and we're not undoing something they're doing.
Right. And we also don't want to put extra pressure on the staff just because we've come up with an idea and we think it should be moved forward.
To help them in the system. Like, I don't know, we came to the events, it was great. I mean, the singing, whatever, and then toward the end, they had the singers in Spanish and the dancers and whatever. So it was starting to heal. And they don't go yet, it's not over yet. Sometimes we can stay down, whatever. But it goes good if we integrate those programs so they can all learn from each other.
We'll have you overwhelmed in Portland.
Everyone's going to want to come to the senior center.
So I keep saying we need more space. Need more space.
Let me say one thing quick too, which I was reminded of. Arlene and I and a couple of, maybe Eric, were talking at the end of the last meeting.
Not the three of
And
you at
there's-
one time.
No.
Not the three of you at one time. Okay.
No,
Just
right,
checking.
it was Arlene and I. And we were just saying that there's no place in the city, there's no process in the city to report news. Like, there's no place for people to go and see what's going on in the city. I had someone who moved into my neighborhood, and there was something going on at the park, and they said, I wasn't sure how to find that. I didn't know where to look. And so what I want to do is recommend to Harold, he's going to love this one, that possibly they look into some way of getting the news out about everything that goes on in the city.
Well, they have their newsletter.
Whether it
They do
be
booking.
something that they could have a website and people could add them in. If you're a nonprofit group, you can put your event. If you're a city group, you can put your event. And so I haven't ironed that out at all. I haven't really even thought about it. But we were talking about the fact that there's really no place. The communication for the city is not good, I feel. So if there's something
And
we can
on the
do.
newspaper forget.
Yeah, nobody reads a newspaper anymore, so we used to count on that a lot, now we can't. So I do want to find some way that we can possibly recommend something and build it up, get it to the point where it can be looked at and people would know to go there if they
They're
were
gonna
looking
look
for
good, but
information.
they're really running, allowing people to really do some of the things that feel important to me.
Okay, last item under open discussions, board, prior agenda items, anybody wants to catch up on? One of the things I had was Ronnie had been in contact with Via, it had come up a couple meetings ago.
So we talked about it last meeting, but then we wanted it, the last meeting we said to hit pause because we're looking at having Vision Zero coming back and talk about, we were saying around transportation and something else, right? And so we were collectively, the board was just saying, let's hit pause on that because maybe they can address it better than VIA could because there was some miscommunication from VIA. If you want me to go back and just have somebody else come to our board meeting to present or answer any questions that we may have, we can look at that.
It come up a couple times, just want to make sure that the board either moves on or leaves it alone.
Because VIA has reached out, or not VIA, sorry. Transportation, Vision Zero specifically has reached out and say, hey, let us know you want to come back again. And have you been in touch with them?
No,
Or you have?
no.
Have you been in touch with them?
Well, I know she said she wanted to come back
Right.
again, yeah, and that she was gonna get in touch with you, so I think we'd have them come back and tell us what they're doing. I guess my concern about VIA was that it did not seem like our concerns were that important to them.
They'd heard it, they'd seen it, they knew it, and that was as far as it went.
Yeah, so.
At the Friends group last time, we mentioned Via, and I remember a lot of people were saying, yeah, they agreed that there's a problem, with people being picked up in delays and that sort of thing.
And we kind of thought that maybe, sorry, I interrupted you, go ahead.
That's okay. But I just don't think we should let them off the hook. I think we should keep after them, even if they think we're abandoning them,
What does that mean? What action would you like to have taken?
Well, I think that we do not let them off the hook, but I think that we reach for somebody who can actually answer our questions.
Right.
Somebody maybe a little bit higher up than the person.
Now, didn't she say that she was at a level below that
Right.
would take action? Okay.
And so when I called back, it was, she can't answer those things. Never mind. Okay.
So what action item would the board like?
We had a Boulder County Agency on Aging meeting at the VIA, and the executive director was the one who addressed us, so I think that's who you want to have
Either him or Lisa.
speak.
Yeah, somebody up there that is.
And
She
didn't
was
And-
searching you.
Wait,
So who calls to set that up?
Ronnie does.
Do you want me to
Here's,
go on transportation? Who's the transportation group?
Well,
Right, better for you, just,
It's fine now, just so you know.
yeah, let's do that.
And do you have, either of you have that contact information from, I heard two names. You have that?
You do?
Yeah,
Cool.
I have a problem reaching out.
but here's my thought on it. I think I'm remembering this now, that we kind of decided to put a pause on VIA because we wanted to see how Ride Longmont went.
Yeah.
Right.
And if Ride Longmont would pick up that slack and be able to give rides to people who were having problems with rides with VIA.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
was more getting somebody from VIA that had more authority than Crystal. I think that was how we left it. Vision Zero would help, but I think contacting the executive director would be a great move.
And my
Let
thought,
him explain it, somebody's got the authority to make changes.
Right.
can I go?
Please.
Thank you. And my thought would be, it seems like Vision Zero is more important to schedule. I think. I
Well,
think
Vision Zero-
Vision Zero should come in, they'll be coming in for the first time. So
Vision-
we'll be hearing stuff that we don't know about. So I think it'd be better to put them on the schedule first, see how Ride Longmont is doing, see if they're picking up the slack, and, seeing if rides have gotten a lot better in Longmont, and then look at addressing VIA and inviting them to the meeting. Does that sound like a good process?
Conflicting thing going on. Do we wait for Vision Zero or do we have the executive director come first? Let's do so, yeah.
I think that we go with Vision Zero,
Yeah.
because Vision Zero is not strictly, we're gonna give you a ride. It's dealing with sidewalks, it's dealing with roads, it's dealing with all that kind of stuff, which is what Vision Zero is. And I think as far as Ride Longmont goes, I think we need to give them maybe 6 months of service before we look at them, or at least 4 months of service. Give them some time to work through some of the concerns, and then, come back and say that. And then see if they're picking up something from VIA, but we can hold off on VIA for a little while.
Yeah, I think Vision Zero is much more important because they're involved in so much more.
Okay.
We're scratching off the executive director from Ronnie's list.
Yeah.
And Vision Zero is going to come at some point.
Before that.
Great.
Yeah,
Vision Zero, who was number 2 after
Right.
that? Right.
Ride
Right
Longmont.
along.
yeah.
So
So then.
several months out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was VIA.
Yeah.
And we can look at that after the March meeting with Harold and see if we want to then schedule something with VIA. But I think Vision Zero should be the priority to have them come in, because we haven't heard from them at all.
Speaking of Harold, you have a chance to set the March meeting.
So Christina's on it, and I actually saw an email today from her, moving it to those who help schedule those things for him.
Okay.
So,
And by February,
later when I get a confirmation.
by February, we want to summarize the issues from those meetings: school security, mental health, job security, transportation, and housing. Sometime in February. Not sure what that looks like. What does that mean? It came up at the last meeting. What does that mean to everybody?
I can't hear what you're saying. What did you say?
What does it mean? We talked about having, in February, summarizing the issues for the meeting with Harold. Food security, mental health, all those items on the meeting. What do you see that meaning by next month?
What we're going to recommend to Harold. What recommendations are we going to make? We don't have to go into details. We
Right.
can just say, we found this to be an issue among seniors. And then go with what we would recommend them doing about, whatever we think.
Each group that represents transportation, housing, for the February meeting.
I do think at the next meeting, in each of those groups, that we have something, have your thoughts fairly well articulated as to just exactly what it is you want to say and what it is you want to accomplish with the city council. And I'm just saying that as a matter of, like,
Why do you see you have enough time to do outreach for that?
Well, here's what I'm thinking. How about we set up the February meeting to have a meeting after the meeting that you can post? And that way we'd be okay to do it, and we'd have more of an opportunity to make it just about Harold's presentation and what we're gonna recommend and what we're gonna bring up and all that sort of thing, so that we're not taking meeting time away, but we can focus on just talking about what recommendations we're making to Harold, and it'd be everybody speaking together. The idea of everybody kind of contacting people one-on-one can get a little, can get a little
But the
tough.
whole idea of the February meeting was to do just that. To decide what it is that we want to talk about.
Well, no, because we have something on the agenda for it.
Coordinated entry.
We have coordinated entry in housing. So-
Is Alberto on board for that? Or how can we for that?
Yeah, whatever we say we need.
Well, we also got, the board updates, we can use that time specifically as, for each group to put their ideas forward. Instead of a liaison report, do a report on what you want to bring up, so everybody can see that ahead of time. You can discuss it in that time frame.
Okay,
On the board updates, instead of each talking about whatever they're talking about, this is specifically what you want to tell Harold when he's here.
okay. Then I would recommend we be prepared that it may go over. Okay. So it goes long, possibly longer?
Yeah.
Because then if we need the time, we have it?
I mean, if that's what we do.
Yeah.
Right now, I think we need to put that that on the agenda, and advertise it in advance, so.
Right.
And I think you need to
So
go
2
an
hour.
hour over.
Right.
at least.
We're looking 10 to 1, or do you want to start earlier and have Harold still come in his normal time?
Oh, this is
This is
February.
February, not March.
This is
Oh,
February.
sorry, February.
Yeah.
And so, what, an additional hour in February? So we'll go.
We start at 9?
Do we want it after or before? What does everybody think of that?
Well, if we're not gonna talk about it until board updates, then we're gonna need to have it after, I would think. But even if we started at
No, I
9,
guess it would have to be after.
it would still be 9 to 12 or 10 to 1.
It's
So-
Do we get lunch?
Either way.
Quick raise of hands.
Do we get lunch?
Bring your own.
Let's see how it
Meals
works.
on Wheels.
Right.
And deliver us.
Meals on Wheels, you could bring Meals on Wheels
They-
in for us.
they-
Do a little potluck.
So let's get an idea.
Why don't you handle that?
Excuse me. 9 to 1, 9 to 12?
I prefer 9.
What do you think? Who wants to do 9 to 12?
I'm fine
Sure.
either way.
Anybody specifically want to do 10 to 1?
Get the word for that.
Would that work?
I'll have to look, but I
Okay.
think if not, it might be a different room, but we can figure it out.
Good.
So
Just let me
February,
know where we're gonna be.
February 9 to 1. And so,
9 to 12.
I'm sorry, 9 to 12. And so we're still having well, that impacts Alberto's start time. Then we have to let him know to come in earlier.
Unless we just keep it the same.
Have him still come in at his normal time, which is
We can
fine.
leave it at 12.
We switch things around.
10 to 1, like, this is to make it start at 10. All the, now we're going to format and we'll go over. if we need
Do you have a problem with doing 10 to 1?
No, you can say that.
Okay. Well then,
At least it would be advertised as that. I
10 to
mean,
1.
that's the thing, I think. we
Exactly,
need.
Right.
exactly.
Changing that up. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Just for future reference, if we're going to have meetings that are going to extend, I just need to know because I'm recording them. And I might need extra battery packs.
Oh, great.
well,
So I know about this one, but in the future going forward, just let you know.
good.
Where's, oh, there it is.
Right. Yeah.
Some of us can volunteer to not be on the camera, that's so good.
So just
Where's the next, where's 10 to 1? Is that a winter?
10 to 1. 10 to 1.
What's the date for the next game?
February, let's see. That falls on this. Calendar, sorry. February 5th. So February 5th. 10 to 1. Okay. All right. Just some quick updates. We have been working to fill a few positions. We had our vacant full-time office assistant, bilingual office assistant position vacant since July because we had somebody in the city who was put on alternative duty. So they would come in and help us out. So we did not fill that position to allow them an opportunity to collect or support us, but collect their hours as well. So that person just left us a couple weeks ago, so we've been interviewing, and we have extended an offer to Hector Martinez, who is working with our HR department right now to get onboarded. So we're hoping to get him in the next week or so in our building working.
Is he the gentleman that's in the office right now?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's brand new in the city. And so he'll be joining us here shortly. And then we had 2 vacant part-time positions, one for the evening and one in the daytime. Our 2 staff members in those roles have left that capacity for their own personal reasons, but is staying on our team as a sub, basically. So we're able to kind of sub. So somebody has a planned vacation or somebody calls out sick, we move them and call to help fill in with this. So they're still staying on our team, just stepping away from the regular scheduled hours. So we extended 2 offers to 2 individuals. One of them has worked their way through the HR processes and then decided that they want to stay with the current organization. So I have interviews for that position tomorrow. And then I have the other person, Alexia Soto, who's working with HR right now for clearance. So we're going to get Alexia in here as well the next week or so. Just want to let you know that's what's going on. And we're currently pulling our 2024 data together. Once I have that, I'll share that with our board. And just want to put that on your radar. A couple updates from our recreation programs. We just did our first e-lottery. Again, moved away from the in-person, traditional in-person registration process, and it went very well. A lot of positive feedback on the flexibility. Again, not everybody has to be here on one specific date and time to register for programs. We received a lot of positive feedback that they got to register at their own convenience, whether it be online, coming into their own physical form. They were able to plan their trips, vacations, all of those things around it. And with that, we had over 1,000 trip registrations. So we have over 1,000 trip registrations, and last I saw, we had over 331 participants for those trips. So I just want to let you know that went well. I know there was a lot of concern, not concern, but it's something new. Again, something new that we've done, but nothing but positive feedback. And again, each trip now has its own lottery system. So again, makes that process a lot more equitable. So we, as you saw, all of our trees around our building, we had our 2nd annual Deck the Halls program, which is a food fundraiser. So we received over 1,000 donations to go to the Table of Hope Food Pantry through all of our guests. So I think we had, at the top of my head, a total of 7 trees in our facility. So that's pretty awesome.
They look great too.
Yeah, it's
They
nice.
did.
It's nice. Snowshoe hike programs are returning in 2025. So we have our hike e-lottery submissions that's going to run from December 30th to January 10th. So that's still going on right now. Our trips, I don't know if you've been on any of our trips, that's another big draw for our programs. And so the fact that we have 2 additional vehicles allows us to expand that, because right now we're very limited. Again, when I say we're competing with ourselves, our trips go out twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they only have one, if not both. We'll say sometimes, depending on the week, we'll have both vehicles available. That's only 26 participants who can go on a single hike. And so especially when we're only offering 2 a week for the spring and summer seasons, that's not a lot of people who will participate. So there's a lot of people who are left on those waiting lists. So new vehicles will help support that and open that out as more.
How's the purchase coming along,
Still waiting for them to.
Did they start to look at it? They're going through some kind of maintenance thing with the fleet department.
So the fleet department was doing a current inventory. So going through checking on all the current vehicles they have before they were able to go out and start looking for new vehicles. So they were working on that process, and they said they'll let me know as soon as that process is complete, so we can start looking at purchasing 2 new vehicles. So they have my recommendations of what the vehicle amenities should look like. It's just going to very much mirror what we currently have with our 2 vehicles, but we haven't got there yet.
You will be getting new vehicles.
2 of them. Yeah. So that'll be fantastic. Let's see what else we got. Supportive trends. I mean, that's really it. We're still just seeing issues. Support services just seeing issues around housing. Just there's no real reason behind that. Of course, they see an increase when it starts getting a little bit colder, but there's no real data or trends showing why we're seeing those increases right now. I mean, we all have our own theories, right, with cost of living, we're talking about employment, all of these good things, all these different factors, but we don't have any data to say why we're seeing that increase right now. That's all I really have. I mean, you have my report. If you have any questions?
Is the city, they making a proposal to the city council, will that person automatically be your liaison?
That's on my list to find out. I don't know if there's flexibility for them to move to different.
Shift people
Yeah.
around. I think Christina kind of indicated when I asked her that the last meeting, that she's not sure if somebody else may change from another position to us, and then somebody else take their position. So who gets appointed is not real clear.
And since I have to reach out to city clerk's office anyway, I'll ask that question.
Sure.
What's the plan? Or how and when will we know who our liaison is?
The new council member has to be selected by the end of January, is that right?
Yeah.
Right? So no city council liaison, area agency and aging.
In my report, I'd like everybody to read it because they're really wanting us to advocate for a bill that's coming up to how do they put it? Reauthorize the Older Americans Act. And the way we do it is to contact our representatives, send a letter, send an email, whatever. So I'll get you guys that information. I know you don't have it. So I'll get it for you. And that's really their big push right now. There's going to be a dinner or a breakfast in February for Older Americans Day. And it's gonna be in the legislators area. They're gonna have it for legislators from us that are from our area, that we want to talk to them about what we're interested in and stuff like that. So we're going to have the breakfast, and there's also a big push from Lindsay, who is the representative. I'll get you that information. And yes, she wants people to be able to write to their representatives and let them know. Both Joe Nugacy and Senator Hickenloopers and Senator Bennett, right?
So you have that information here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's in the report. I'd like everybody to read that and do whatever you can to support that. I would also recommend, Ronnie, that these guys get, I'm sorry, I wouldn't do like that. Did they get the information that we got in our packet? Because they haven't gotten it yet, right?
What information is that in our packet?
Like the reports from housing, the reports from transportation, stuff like that.
Yeah, they got it.
I got it.
They got it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you guys had already gotten it. Okay.
Johnny, printed yours?
So going back to what she was talking about in the Older Americans Act, the reason why it started in 1965 and was supposed to be reauthorized every 5 years. It hasn't always gone that way. But the reason why they're pushing it right now is because they're not real sure with the new administration coming in what is going to happen there. And so if they reauthorize it prior to the new administration coming in, then that gives it another 5 years. And so that's why they're really kind of pushing, get in touch with these people and say, hey, seniors are still around, and please push to get that reauthorization going.
You can go to the Boulder County website and just look up Agency on Aging, and they may even have a letter, a draft that you can use, and just use that to send it to the representatives. But somebody said to me the representatives can't always read everything, and I said, of course not, but they have somebody counting, so they know how many people responded, and that's important to them. They have to answer to the fact that this big amount of people are the ones that wrote in and said that. So the more people, absolutely the better.
On a personal note, if you write to these 3 individuals, first thing, their website, their site comes up, says, tell me what you're writing about, agricultural, veterans, whatever. There's this whole long list, and other is the last thing. There's nothing in their write-up about seniors, nothing specific. So I wrote them a separate letter saying, why not? We're one of the biggest constituencies, and you don't have us even listed as an item. So you can say that as a person, as my personal peeve, and add your name to the list. But I think that you should absolutely have that as a category to address. Shows an interest.
And I know Joe Negussi, you can write to him, you can email him directly. For both Senator Bennett and Hickenlooper, you have to go onto their website and you fill out a form to send an email. They don't give you an address, so you can't just type up a letter, send it to their address. You have to go on their website and put the letter in through their system and they get it that way. Okay? That's it.
Dave, friends?
Oh. I just want to say that I mentioned this to the group before, and to the new folks. I haven't been writing reports, and I don't write very well because I have my fingers, and so I go to a laptop and I hit for A and I wind up on Z, and so it takes me forever to write a note or a letter. So I don't like to do it unless I'm absolutely the first one. You ask for an outline next time, I'll do it. Sure. It'll take me all day.
Sure.
But I can do it. That's why I don't write written reports. I just have a real hard time with it. So I'd rather just do it, just take a couple of minutes. How much time?
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
2 minutes?
You got 2.5.
I just want to say at the last Friends group that they have 3 new board members, and I forget what are the names. Donna Tresswood and Denise Shepard for 2 years. Tresswood is 3, and Sheila Conroy, if you remember, for 1
Sure.
year. Yeah.
She's on again for 1?
Just 1 year. Yeah, and I don't know the other 2. Of course, we know Sheila. Art, I know, was considering it, but the Friends group is talking a lot about fundraising right now, and I'll get more back to you on that. And I know that the budget can be really, really exciting. There's just a couple of things that I think we need to keep up on as far as what their budget is like. They just went over $3 million for the last sentence. That's a fair amount of money. And just since I've been going to the meetings, I think it was like 6 or something like that when I first started attending the meetings. Now it's over $3 million. And there's hardly any liabilities, $476 like water current liabilities. So they're in good shape. I think they're almost in a position of wondering what to do. Some of the money, a couple $100,000 is going to go for the lands. Just for your information, where does that money come from? And John, you probably know as much more about this than I do. I'm still trying to get up to date on how they do their financial reports. But the total contributed income was over $200,000, $225,000. That's things like donations. And then the other stuff is interest. And I made some over $100,000 interest on their investments. And so that's over $300,000, $333,000 of income, revenue.
Over 12 months.
Over 12 months. So this is since the beginning of the year. So it's not even the whole year. I'll tell you more next time. And their total administrative expenses as far as the board is concerned is about $33,000. Yeah, it's over $33,000. But then you add in the Longmont Senior Center, and the expenses go up to total, I think it's 21,000. And the last resorts fund is put it all together, and it's some general programs also is 43,000 in terms of expenses. And the only other thing I really want to mention here is on the last resorts. That's a program that you use a lot, and that so far this year has been 21,000. And that includes things, kind of emergency kinds of funds that Friends supports. And the big ones have been medical for about $4,800. The rent has been over 11,000 for emergency rentals. And Senior Smiles, that's mainly dental, it's been almost $6,000. Now that's up to around $21,000. And I think that's about it. There's a lot of stuff in there, but I thought that sort of thing would be of interest. I think it's important that we kind of keep up on our budget because that's a potential source of funds for us.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Sustainability? Are you?
I'm sorry?
Are you sustainability also?
The what?
Are you sustainability
Also
also?
report, but they only have meetings every quarter.
Future agenda items, February, board data entry, Roberto and Brady will be speaking. Brandy?
So talking with Brandy, she thought it'd make sense to have one of our resource specialists be a part of that conversation so they can talk about those details of shared experience, what it was like to go through that process, and provide better insight as to what it looks like from start to finish. Working with clients for that. But yeah, so someone will be here. She's working with them to see the availability to see who can, what resource specialists join.
March city manager will be here, and then board recommendations. I don't know what that means. What was that for?
Any recommendations from future meetings.
Anybody have anything to add?
I mean, we've kind of hit on it, so Vision Zero, by Longmont, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
What about legislation?
We can talk
Sandy
about
said she'd come back and we asked her to at some point.
be after the legislature is over, which
Yeah.
When is
maybe
that?
early April isn't about
May.
April or May.
I don't know, is it May? May?
Maybe we'll probably do, sort of legislature.
Anything else?
Anything from the new people? Any questions? Any clarifications?
Just learning.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for jumping in and speaking. It's great to have you all here. Thank you. Anything else? Motion to adjourn? Second.
Second, yeah.
Okay. Thank you all. See you next week.